Okay, um, just a little bit more detail about top-down processing and bottoms-up processing. Um, as you can see, my handwriting is terrible, but that is how sometimes I don't use the computer all the time to write my questions. Sometimes I have to use my handwriting. So my handwriting, uh, in the age of word processing, has deteriorated immensely. Okay, well, we got a few questions here. Hopefully these questions will elaborate what top-down processing is. Well, it will obviously, and bottoms-up processing. So we learned from Shunk the definitions of top-down processing. I think there was a bottoms-up processing in in the in the prior test questions, but I did some research on the internet. Uh, I got my information from a credible source, I believe, because it was an instructor from uh, Washington University. I'll send a link later. But anyways, top-down processing is blank driven, and blank driven. Okay, top-down processing is theory driven, knowledge driven, and context driven. Context driven. Sorry. Using prior, now I created a question myself just to, well, how I should say, elaborate on the meaning of it. Okay, so this question is to elaborate on the meaning of, tops down processing. Okay, using prior knowledge in perceiving a current object is tops down processing. Now the second question is to strengthen my understanding, or the depth of my understanding of bottoms up processing. Now here the question states, what is interpreting data independent of prior knowledge? And that is bottoms up processing. So in bottoms up processing, you're not using any prior knowledge to influence your interpretation or perception of what you're currently perceiving. Now, again, this is just elaborating on tops-down processing. So I wrote a question just to elaborate on my on my learning of tops-down processing, or I should say my understanding. And what I mean by understanding is giving examples of the concept, not just understanding, not just not just having the ability to explain the concept, but to show examples that relate to the concept. So I wrote the following: incorrectly filling incorrectly filling in the gaps of a schema is a result of tops down processing. Actually, it should be experience. Incorrectly filling in the gaps of a past experience is a result of tops down processing. Schema is not an appropriate word. It's not a appropriate word. So incorrectly filling in the gaps of an experience is a result of tops down processing. So an individual who has a past experience and incorrectly fills in the gaps, or incorrectly has certain beliefs about that experience uh, based on their previous knowledge before that experience happened, is using tops down processing. Uh, in this paper, or in this presentation that I got this information from, I think he gives an example of an airplane crashing, and the witnesses of this airplane crashing a couple days later stated that the airplane was on fire. Okay, meaning, so how did this happen? It's because they associate an airplane crashing or an airplane, let's say, destructing with it bursting into flames, which in actuality, this is not what happened. Okay, the airplane never burst into flames, but based on their previous perceptions, not even their experience, or previous perception of what goes on in an airplane crash, or that specific type of airplane crash, they falsely filled in those gaps. Meaning they added information to the experience based on their prior perceptions, but that information is not true. So that's basically what top-down that's an aspect of top-down processing. All right, that sums up my review of memory in the Learning Theories book. I forgot what the chapter is. Hopefully I'll do, or pretty soon I'll do something probably referring to neuroscience. All right.